staying with us. Former Secretary General of the Commonwealth and Chairman of the Patriots has inaugurated a National Advocacy Committee for the actualization of a new democratic people's constitution for Nigeria. Emeka Anyaoku says the exercise will help achieve a truly federal constitution to resolve the various challenges that the country is faced with. Senior reporter Olawakon has details.
Constitutions have been developed since amalgamation in 1914, from the Nigeria Order in Council being the first constitution by the British colonial to the 1999 constitution which established the Fourth Republic. The clamor for a new democratic people's constitution to address the pressing challenges of Nigeria is on the rise. Here, the Patriot is inaugurating a 17-man National Advocacy Committee to begin the process of a new constitution where inputs from key stakeholders will be accommodated to address the current problems of the nation.
The new constitution that the peoples of this country will decide to have will provide a basis for addressing these problems. The problems of corruption, the problem of mismanagement of national resources.
Chairman of the Patriot and former Commonwealth Secretary General says the problem of the country is not necessarily leadership, but constitutional and must be addressed.
Even if you asked Angel Gabriel or Malaika Jibril to govern Nigeria with the present constitution, they will not succeed because of the nature of the constitution.
He adds that a draft of the federal constitution is expected to be created and will be subjected to a referendum.
The draft new constitution should be subjected to a referendum, a national referendum. That's the second part of the request which the Patriots have advised the President to include in his executive bill to the National Assembly.
The task of the committee, headed by Professor of Strategy and Development Anthony Killer, is to mobilize, sensitize the general public and come up with relevant proposals and recommendations from the critical stakeholders for the new Democratic People's Constitution. Ola Awakon, TVC News, Lagos.
Joining me for more on this is the Chairman, National Advocacy Committee of the Patriot, Professor Anthony Killer. Good to have you join us, Prof. But when you talk about the People's Constitution, what do you mean? What issues do you hope to address, and how do you hope to get the buy-in of all stakeholders?
Well, thank you very much. Good to be here. When we talk about the People's Constitution, to take your questions the way you've laid them out, the People's Constitution is a constitution that has the input of the people and that the people has approved as their own constitution. The current constitution we have in Nigeria does not meet those two criteria. If anything, it starts with 3 words: we the people. And those words are not true because that constitution was more of a military decree. So what that means is that we're building a lot on false foundation. The constitution itself is not very apt to our situation, as it has not been helping us enough. Consequence of that is that we have a constitution that is false and faulty and needs to be reshaped. The way we hope to do it, still in the spirit of a people's constitution, is to get people to be informed, engaged, and have their input in the constitution, so that in the process of making it, people will have an idea of what the constitution is going to be and have their input. And then when it is proposed, there'll be a referendum to approve it.
All right, Prof. And now you're talking about bringing the people together. Are we looking at another national conference, as it were?
Well, we've had a national conference before. There's nothing wrong with that. I must say, contrary to what people say, that national conference produced, some very good ideas, some superb ideas. So it will not be bad to have something like that again. But it doesn't have to be that way. It could be any way. The ideal way of a constitution is to have a constituent assembly that is representative of various parts of the country and various sectors of the country. And that constituent assembly will then constitute the constitution. But, you know, to each his own. It doesn't have to be that way. It could be a different way. The Patriots advocates for a constituent assembly. Well, you know, everybody is free to suggest whatever they think can work.
All right, then. And of course, as it is, how do you hope to ensure that, you know, whatever recommendations are made from your various interactions with different stakeholders are actually implemented and do not just end up in, you know, some bulk document on the shelves?
Well, I think two things need to be said about that. One is that that's a generational responsibility. We need to make sure that we, the people, we need to make sure it's not just a document that is left there. You know, we need to do all we can to make sure that these recommendations are implemented. But we also need to find out why the old ones are not implemented, because it is not the fault of the people who recommend. We need to find out why those who should have implemented did not implement. Because when we do that, it is likely we see those who do not want Nigeria to change or progress. And, you know, without fighting anybody, we should just focus on what is good for the country. So the spirit is to have a sense of urgency and for a generational responsibility. And that is what we're having. My committee, together with other esteemed members, will be reaching out to various stakeholders across the country very soon. We started with the President of the Republic, Ashwaju Bola Tinubu. So I think that means we mean business, and we shall still be reaching out to more people.
All right. Chairman, National Advocacy Committee of the Patriots, Professor Anthony Kila, thank you for talking to us on TVC News at 12.